CTV National News with Lloyd Robertson.
Good evening. Across this country today, hearts sank and flags were lowered at the news that NDP leader Jack Layton had lost his battle with cancer. Layton died at his home this morning, surrounded by loved ones. The end came just 3 months after his greatest political triumph, leading his party to opposition status in the House of Commons. He was 61. In a long farewell letter, Layton thanked all those who had written to wish him well and concluded with this message for all Canadians. My friends, love is better than anger. Hope is better than fear. Optimism is better than despair. So let us be loving, hopeful, and optimistic, and we'll change the world. All my very best, Jack Layton. Jack, as everybody called him, combined that kind of cheerful idealism with a practical sense of politics. And the same letter advised the NDP to hold a leadership vote early in the new year, renew the party program, and get ready for the next election. As CTV's Daniel Hamamjian tells us, Jack's passing sadly came at the peak of his popularity and the pinnacle of his career.
A day of mourning for a life and a career cut short.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
It took 3 decades to get here, but Jack Layton only had 3 months to enjoy the title.
I have a new cancer.
And a month after a public appearance that left many wondering, will he make it back? The new leader of the opposition died at the age of 61.
I am very, very sad today. Jack is not just a leader. He's not just my leader. He's a friend. He's like a family member.
Friends and family spent the summer oscillating between hope and despair. Finally, Sunday night, they were told he only had a few hours left.
A friend, a brother. I've learned a lot from him, and I've been very honored and privileged to be a part of his life.
I mean, I cried. I don't think it's any that happens from time to time.
But at no time did Jack Layton forget why.
It is tragic. It makes me angry.
Why he did what he did and who he was doing it for.
How can the Prime Minister justify wasting taxpayers' dollars?
Dedicating his life to social issues.
And that's why people are in the street. They've got nowhere to go.
NDP cookies, folks.
It's often been said Layton was the leader Canadians would most like to have a drink with. And during this last campaign, it became evident to many Canadians there was something about Jack.
He had very winning ways and sunny ways.
-1 in Yellowknife.
Part-time weatherman, part-time musician.
And we always talked about getting together to jam, but it seemed we were both always too busy. I will always regret the jam session that never was.
Full-time friend.
But when I got that call early this morning, it was a terrible shock.
And in a letter addressed to Canadians, this is how he leaves this world. Consider that we can be a better, fairer, more equal country by working together. Don't let them tell you it can't be done.
Don't let anyone tell you that it can't be done. It can be done. It will be done. We're on our way. Thank you all for being a part of this journey. Merci beaucoup.
And now New Democrats will have to find their way without their charismatic leader. Lloyd.
Thank you, Danielle. Daniel Hamamjian in Ottawa. As a national figure, Jack Layton was anything but an overnight success. He built his career and his party's successes step by step. CTV's chief parliamentary correspondent, Craig Oliver, followed that career closely from the very beginning.
Okay, Mom. Lots of love. Bye.
All throughout his fight with cancer, it was family Jack Layton credited with keeping him going.
The blessings that flow from all of that love that surrounds me in my personal life are just so evident now.
Family and politics.
I draw my enthusiasm and my energy from the work I do, trying to work to build a better world.
Layton took his leftist social reform politics seriously, but never took himself that way.
Alive, alive, oh.
Born in the Tony English community of Hudson near Montreal, Layton attended McGill University, then headed to Toronto for postgraduate work. There he got caught up in the fervor of city politics.
It's a con job. I think the mayor is living in a dream world.
His natural-born talent for making news, showboating as critics called it, turned into a 20-year career at Toronto City Hall. He met and married another social activist, Olivia Chow, and they melded careers in the New Democratic Party.
I am here to register as a delegate.
Although he failed twice to win a seat as an NDP federal candidate in Toronto, Layton was building a reputation in the National Party.
He's a man who, I repeat, can engage people, can get them to pay attention to the NDP.
When Alexa McDonough stepped down as party leader in 2003, he went for the job and won on the first ballot.
I declare Jack Layton the new leader of the New Democratic Party.
Thank you for wanting to put issues back on the table in Canadian politics, our issues and our values.
Layton pushed NDP policy hard through 3 elections, adding more seats each time to his parliamentary team and becoming more of a power broker for the party's causes.
I think Canadians will now get some results that they've been waiting for a long time.
As leader, he pushed his party's interests, but it was personal news in 2010 that stunned the country. With the minority Harper government hanging on by its fingernails, Layton announced that he had prostate cancer.
I'm a fighter, and I'm going to beat this.
Even after serious surgery for a cracked hip left him on crutches, Layton sealed the fate of the Harper Tories.
New Democrats will not support the budget as presented.
He entered the rigorous election race hobbled with a cane, but his courage drew the admiration of the country. That 2011 election was his best and his last.
Walk the walk.
Taking other party leaders to task in the English debate.
Why do you have the worst attendance record in the House of Commons of any member of Parliament? You know, most Canadians, if they don't show up for work, they don't get a promotion.
With his folksy French, the smiling guy with a cane won the hearts and votes of Quebecers.
Bonjour, chers amis.
To the astonishment of the country, the NDP became the official opposition in Parliament for the first time in history.
Spring is here, my friends, and a new chapter begins.
And for Jack Layton, sadly, it was the last chapter. Craig is with us from Parliament Hill. So, Craig, what can you tell us about the arrangements for Jack Layton leading up to the funeral at the end of the week?
Lloyd, we've had prime ministers die in office, but no opposition leader ever has, so there was no protocol for this. The prime minister has agreed to a lying in state for Layton here in the House of Commons on Wednesday and Thursday, and then a state funeral in Toronto Saturday afternoon. You know how Layton loved his music and his guitar, so the protocol office of the government is trying to organize some Canadian musicians, people like K.D. Lang, to come and be part of that funeral service.
And how unusual was it, Craig, for the Jack Layton family to send out that letter that came today, literally his last words, his testament?
That was on Saturday afternoon when Layton actually sat up for 4, almost 5 hours with his key staff members, just a few of them. And as one of them said to me, he always liked to be in control of his options, whatever they were. And in this case, one of the options was his own death. And he sat down and talked to them about that and the party afterwards. And it was a sad, but as one said, also an inspirational scene.
So, anything to say about his legacy as we begin this process of mourning him?
Just that it was, for him, the politics of optimism and generosity, and I think that's the legacy he left when he really repositioned the NDP with it.
All right, thanks, Craig. We'll be talking more about this.
Good night, Lloyd.
It's clear that Canadians everywhere feel a keen sense of loss, whether they agreed with Layton's politics or not. People responded to his cheerful personality, his energy, and his sense of purpose. Here are some reactions to today's sad news.
I think he spoke the honest truth, the most compassionately, the most articulately, and from the heart.
Crowds gathered at Toronto City Hall, where Layton's political career began, and at his constituency office, offering messages of condolence and just to say goodbye. And heartfelt comments echoed across the country.
No, really? Oh my gosh.
For the NDP party and even for all of Canada, I just feel very bad about it.
I wanted to join the NDP then. It was 6 years ago. and he took out the napkin and gave me his cell phone number and to call him anytime.
He spoke to a younger generation for sure.
And a really nice man, had a good handshake.
I love the man. The man. I don't say the politician, but the man.
And I just really thought, you know, he's going to make a great prime minister one day.
Well, as remarkable a man as Jack Layton was, there are many more just like him. An estimated 70,000 Canadians will die from cancer this year, and it remains the country's #1 killer. And while the NDP leader is best known for battling in the political arena, as CTV's medical specialist Avis Favreau reports, the cancer battle Layton waged will also be a big part of his lasting legacy.
He was a public man who became very private about his health when questioned about his treatment for his initial bout of prostate cancer.
I haven't been going into the details of my treatment. I've been keeping that with between the doctor and myself, and just making good progress.
Still, Jack Layton used his public stature to raise awareness for his disease.
It's the same kind of prostate cancer that my father was diagnosed with.
Encouraging fellow MPs to wear blue-striped ties in honor of a prostate cancer campaign, a disease that is diagnosed in 25,000 men each year, one that kills 10 Canadian men each and every day.
This is a disease that's highly treatable at an early stage and unfortunately uncurable at a late stage.
Dr. Neil Fleischner wasn't involved in Jack Layton's treatment, but says the NDP leader likely helped bring more men forward for testing to find it in the early stages.
90% of men, if we can detect their cancers early, we can cure them. Sometimes even the most earliest of detections still does not result in cure.
Sadly, he was diagnosed with a second cancer in July. He never revealed its source.
The war rages on, and Mr. Layton's passing reminds us how real and how serious the war is.
And 2 days before he died, he wrote this message to other Canadians battling cancer. Please don't be discouraged that my own journey hasn't gone as well as I had hoped. You must not lose your own hope. Avis Favreau, CTV News, Toronto.
And finally for us tonight, these words about Jack Layton. I met him several times over the years for interviews or just chance encounters. I was always struck by his openness, his friendliness, and his abiding passion for the politics he cared so much about. After our interview just before the last election, he wished me well and joked about my long goodbye from the anchor chair. When I heard the news of his death this morning, I was struck by how abrupt his goodbye had to be, and in such devastating fashion. His life cut short by cancer. To Olivia and family, from all of us at CTV News, our sincere condolences. And that's the kind of day it's been this Monday, August 22nd.
Dream no little dreams. Ottawa is broken, and it's time for us to fix it. Alrighty. Here you go, sir. 2 double doubles. You're gonna see if I get mustache on or mustard on my mustache. Someone draw a mustache on Layton's posters.